How are you doing, card fighters? Chris here with Vision, and we are finally done, as you may know, with the Vision Cross Circuit VCC Spring Cup. And with that being done, there is a lot of data that we can dive into, so we're gonna get right into it. All right, before we get into everything, we have to talk disclaimers, because there are a few things you should know about the data going into it. First things first, this data does not include any top 8s, because during the qualifiers there were purely exhibition matches, and for the finals it really is just going to add an extra weight for those players that are doing really well, and I feel like it takes a little bit away from the general picture of how well a clan does. The other thing that should be mentioned is that the first week of qualifiers is not included because the whole data stuff wasn't quite set up and it was kind of hard to get that back. So in this video, we're gonna have some winners recap, some clan percentage breakdown. What's the field kind of looking like? Then we're gonna go over the highest win rate decks, check out some bops and some flops, and then check out a pretty cool clan head-to-head. And of course, we're going to be doing this for both formats, premium and standard. So starting with standard, going to do premium after that. And if you want to skip ahead, there will be timestamps, so don't worry about that. Congratulations to the standard winner, TD River, for taking home the gold. And congratulations as well to Miss Great King, Toma Callum, and Platinum for filling out the rest of that top 4. I don't think anyone is super surprised to see this top 8, right? A ton of Narukami, 3 Narukami, 3 Aquaforce, the kings of this meta, and then the last 2 spots, 1 Great Nature and 1 Shadow Paladin. The Shadow Paladin, of course, being Toma, who made 3rd, so congratulations to him, busting his way through this Excel meta. Speaking of Excel meta, check out this clan breakdown. 19% Narukami, 15.6% Aquaforce. That is like a third of all the decks that participated are Narukami and Aquaforce. They're everywhere. Following that closely is going to be Gear Chronicle at 10% and Bermuda at 8%. And then after that, it kind of like falls off a little bit. But very interesting to see Gear Chronicle up there, potentially because of its success in the first qualifying week of the VCC. Standard clan win rates, Narukami, Aquaforce, killing it. I don't think anyone is surprised to see that. But following that, we're actually seeing Shadow Paladin, Great Nature, and Genesis. Now, it should be noted that Shadow Paladin and Great Nature took, the top 8 spots in qualifiers. So that means they're doing really well. And sometimes a good player can kind of carry the win rate of a clan, or 1 or 2 good players. And especially with Great Nature, they have a little bit on the lower side of the game count. Kind of the same goes for Genesis and Pale Moon, but Shadow Paladin actually has around 100, just over 100 games under its belt. So I think you can really say something for its win rate there. And Narukami and Aquaforce are even higher. They're way up there, like 200 games under their belt at least. Let's zoom in a little bit here for the top performing clans and check out their winners, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, but let's see how they do without the mirror, because when you take into account mirror matches, then it's going to be dragging down those clans that are doing really well and kind of pushing the clans that are doing poorly closer. It just brings everything closer to the center. So you can see without mirrors, Aquaforce and Narukami are getting an even bigger boost in win rate. Narukami is actually peaking up just above 60%. So it's very, very impressive. So a neat little stat to dig into. Time to check out the bops and the flops. Let's start with the bops. Shadow Paladin is definitely a bop here. 112 games total, but still holding a 55% win rate. Mirrors included in all these stats, just a heads up. And as you can see, it wasn't like super duper popular. 6% is pretty popular, definitely the top half, but this deck might be a lot better than people had been expecting. That's why it is a bop. The flops Angel Feather, and Gear Chronicle. I think these clans are typically considered pretty good, but they really didn't cut it. They didn't really cut the cake during the VCC with only a 45% win rate, and mirror matches are going to be dragging them closer, so potentially even lower. And they've got 100 plus games under their belt to justify that low win rate. So might have to go back to the lab with these clans or rethink their position in the meta. Royal Paladin also going to be a flop, as you can see. Tried so hard, got 8 games total, could not win a single one. Shout out to the Royal Paladin fanboys, but you're going to have to go back to the lab with that one. And finally, we've got a neat little graphic here for the clan head-to-heads. Now, the way you read this is you're going to see which clan am I playing, or I want to know, on the for side, and then you'll go down, scroll over, find the column for the against side, match them up with those clan icons, and then you'll find the win percent in that specific head-to-head matchup. And using this, we can see some pretty neat things. Narukami, potentially tier 0. It's got 2 specific matchups that are less than 50%. So it's basically winning against everybody. And those matchups are going to be Pale Moon and Great Nature, but they have less than 10 games against either of those clans. So it's hard to really even say if that's super duper meaningful. Granted, there's not a lot of games played in specific clan matchups all over the place, but if they're that close and there's that few games, it might not be the whole story. Let's check out the other killer here, Aqua Force, a 33% win rate against Genesis. Potential meta killer there, but maybe on the low side at 12 games. The other ones, there's a slight disadvantage toward Shadows and Gear Chronicle, and those have about 20 games behind that data point, so it's a little bit more to stand on there. But overall, Aqua Force is looking as healthy against everything else as Narukami. I think another clan you might want to look into is Bermuda Triangle. There's a lot of yellow there, but other than Aqua Force and Grand Blue, those 2 matchups don't look very great, but the rest of it seems like it's doing pretty well. So maybe with some tuning and improvements in the deck, it could really go somewhere. And that is it for standard. So we're going to go into a premium. Checking out the winners recap. Congratulations to Platinum for taking the whole thing with Pale Moon. Not even a deck that I think was on a lot of people's radars. And followed up by Little Tsundere, Iovanius, and Oyas, all playing the Bermuda train to fill out the top 4. So Bermuda showing up in 4th in this top 8 of the finals invitational. A little bit of Neonectar splattered in there, and then some spiciness with Pale Moon, who won, and a Shadow Paladin Geese. Ooh. But let's take a look at the format as a whole. It is so diverse. That's the first thing that stands out to me compared to standard. No clan is taking up a huge chunk, or even no 2 clans. Dark Regulars at the top 12%-ish of the field, but then everything else, slowly goes down from about 10%. But Kagero, Bermuda Triangle, Dark Regulars, those are your top 3. Going into the clan win rates, a lot of the usual suspects are here. We've got Neonectar, Bermuda Triangle, Shadow Paladin, Great Nature, Grand Blue. They're all there. Maybe some surprising things though. Gold Paladin showing up in force even after the ban. Murakumo boasting a pretty high, above 50% as well. And Pale Moon, of course, they won. So there's a lot of wins behind that. So it is important to think about that though. With Pale Moon and Murakumo specifically, they don't have a lot of games under their belt. Murakumo at 15, Pale Moon at 28. So there's a lot there, but they probably need more, testing, more games just to make sure that they can keep it up in the long run. Gold Paladin is kind of on the fence. I would say it's still on the low count with 45 games total, but Yeah, the other big story here is Bermuda Triangle joining the fray, jumping up all the way to second place in win rates, and potentially maybe even the best deck. Now, I'm sure you might be wondering, how do these look like when we take out the mirror matches? Here you go. Neonectar, Bermuda Triangle, Kagero all getting slight bumps. Of course, Bermuda Triangle, Kagero being the two of the 3 most popular clans. They all get boosts, and Neonectar and Bermuda's actually jumping up over 60%, just like Narukami and Standard. And if we look closely, Bermuda Triangle is going to get the highest win percentage, excluding mirrors, of all the other decks. So that is pretty impressive for a deck that basically just joined the meta. Bops and flops for premium. Let's start with the flops this time. Link Joker being the 4th most popular clan, but a measly 41% win rate. That's probably not what you're looking for when you'd expect the 4th most popular clan. I remember there was one day in particular where there was a lot of Link Joker, and I don't think they won many games. It was a sad day for Link Joker. The other flops are going to be Mega Colony and Gear Chronicle. Now, they didn't have a lot of games, but they still could not manage a 25%. Mega Colony is pretty surprising because I think a lot of people think that they do great against Neonectar. And I guess Neonectar didn't show up in force like people might have expected. So you could say maybe that's a reason, but they still can't cut it against everything else. And that is a major detriment to the deck. Gear Chronicle is just struggle bus time. Hopefully they'll get better with the new support. So that's it for the flops. Let's check out the bops. Bermuda Triangle, of course, such a high, almost a 60% win rate, and you bump over it if you exclude the mirror matches. So that is amazing. I don't want to talk about Bermuda Triangle the whole video though. So Gold Paladin and Pale Moon are the other bops for this event. They absolutely bopped it with a high win percentage, but kind of a low showing, a low number of people playing them, like I mentioned. So I'm excited to see if they can continue their success going through potentially BCS or the future VCCs especially. All right, and finally, clan head-to-heads for premium. The 2 decks we'd like to look at here are Neonectars and Bermuda Triangle, of course, being the top dogs. Neonectar potentially having a weakness there in Bermuda Triangle, but it is close still. It's a 45 to 55. The slight favor towards Bermuda Triangle in that matchup. And there's a lot of data behind that because Bermuda Triangle is everywhere. And the other 2 potential bad matchups, we're going to have Dark Irregulars and Mega Colony. So I think that's kind of surprising. Neonectar is definitely a very, very aggressive deck that can put Dark Irregulars on their toes, but it seems the Dark Irregular players have been able to fight that back, live through the aggression, and then punch back for the kill majority of the time. Mega Colony, okay, we're going to address that. Don't get up on your high horses like, oh, Mega Colony, the ultimate counter to Neonectar. Hold your horses. There was only one game between these 2 clans. So one game, Neonectar lost it. That's it. There's no story there. That just could be anything. Could be anything. You need a lot more data to make those claims. And like we just saw, Mega Colony not really cutting it in the overall meta. All right, let's talk about Bermuda Triangle for a second. Shadow Paladin, slight disadvantage there. 40-60, 15 games. Seems pretty reasonable. But the big story here is Grand Blue. There was 8 games recorded, and Bermuda Triangle won 0 of them. Not a good look for Bermuda Triangle. Grand Blue potentially being a super hardcore counter, because even though it's only 8 games, the fact that Bermuda couldn't win a single one of them it looks pretty bad. Also, we've got Pale Moon, but there's only 3 games there. So even though it's a low 33%, it's really hard to say because, again, there is 1 or 2 insane Pale Moon players, and that's about it. The other story for me here that I did not mention in the flops, And it's kind of debatable, is Dark Irregulars actually the most popular clan? Check out that row. There's very few green. There's very, very few green. Green, of course, being 66% or higher. So it's looking pretty shaky for them, as they do have a lot of like bad matchups, things that are going below 50% for them. And I think Dark Regulars may need to be reconsidered as one of the top picks of the format. Hot take. But I'll leave that up for you all to decide. And maybe it's just that the players playing Dark Irregulars weren't that great. There's all sorts of arguments you can make for their weak performance during the VCC. That is all for me. Thank you to the players who played in the VCC. The casters and the guest casters we had were wonderful. Thank you to you guys, and to all the Vision members who helped out organizing, judging, adminning, whatnot. Good job, everyone. And thank you to you, the viewer, for sticking through and getting this far into the video. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, give that a thumbs up. It helps out a ton. Look forward to seeing you in another video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.